Go ahead. I won't stop you from trying to find mistakes in the Quran. Maybe you can start with the verses people often questions, then move to the parts that seem confusing. And maybe, if you're patient enough, you'll begin to notice something unexpected. Not just words, but patterns, depth, and a voice that feels different. Because sometimes what we search for says more about us than the text itself. So before you decide what the Quran is, ask yourself this. Are you looking to understand or just to prove a point? Are you reading it with curiosity or with judgment? And if you did find something powerful, would you be honest enough to accept it? Despite the propaganda or hate you post on social media, I sometimes feel a little amused. Because strongly, the more you criticize the Quran, the more people become curious about it. Clips, comments, debates, they spread faster than you think. And somewhere out there, someone who never cared before starts reading it for the first time, not to attack, but to understand. So it makes me wonder, are you trying to push people away from the Quran or unintentionally inviting them closer to it? Lately, we've been seeing something unexpected. People from completely different backgrounds talking about Islam after their own moments of clarity. Not scholars, not preachers, or just ordinary people who went searching, questioning, and somehow found something that changed them. In a world full of noise, distraction, and endless entertainment, it's interesting how some hearts still turn towards something deeper, something more meaningful. So what is it that they're actually discovering that makes them pause, reflect, and look at life differently? Amazingly, even scientists and priests, people trained to question, to analyze, to seek truth, have taken the time to look deeper. They didn't just react, they reasoned, they thought, they reflected, they compared. And some of them didn't stop at the theories or headlines. They looked at the Quran itself and even at the lives of ordinary Muslims. Not perfection, but sincerity, discipline, and a constant return to something higher. So when people who decide their lives to truth start paying attention, what are they seeing that others are missing? Some say the Quran was written or even altered by Muhammad, but the Quran itself makes a bold claim that it will be preserved. And today, millions of people from completely different countries, cultures, and languages have memorized it word for word, not just parts, but the entire text. Children, adults across generations for over 1400 years. It has been recited, read, and passed down in a way that remains remarkably consistent. So the question is, how does a text survive like this, unchanged, in a world where everything else keeps changing? It's always a good thing when you decide to do your own research, to look beyond headlines, beyond assumptions, beyond what you've been told. Because sometimes when the intention is only to attack or dismiss, the search doesn't go very far. But when someone is genuinely curious, willing to question, to reflect, and to be honest with what they find, the outcome can be very different. And interestingly, many people who take that path end up discovering something that doesn't match the image often portrayed in parts of the Western media. So what changes when someone moves from assumption to sincere exploration? So are you looking to understand or just to prove a point? The truth is many people don't approach the Quran to understand. They approach it with a conclusion already in mind. And when you start with a conclusion, you only see what confirms it. And that's not really a problem of the text. It's a pattern we all fall into. We do it with people, with ideas, with anything unfamiliar. We filter, we select, we protect what we already believe. But real understanding doesn't begin with certainty. It begins with openness, a willingness to pause, to question yourself, not just what you're reading. So now the question becomes even more personal. Are you reading with curiosity or with judgment? Because curiosity opens doors, but judgment closes them before you even step inside. And if you found something powerful, would you accept it? That depends on honesty, not intelligence, not knowledge, but honesty with yourself. So are people pushing others away from the Quran or inviting them closer? Ironically, both. Criticism spreads attention, and attention creates curiosity, and curiosity leads some people to read it for themselves. What are people discovering? That changes them, not just words, but clarity, a sense of purpose, a direct relationship with God without confusion, without intermediaries. What are thinkers, scientists, and seekers seeing? They see consistency, a message that challenges them to think, not blindly follow, a text that doesn't just ask for belief, but invites reflection. And how does a book survive unchanged for over 1400 years? Through something unique, memorizations on a massive scale, generation after generation, across countries, not just preserved in pages, but in people. So what changes when someone moves from assumption to sincere exploration? Everything. Because when you stop trying to win an argument and start searching for truth, you don't just read differently. You see differently. Honestly, no pressure. You can keep scrolling, keep debating, keep analyzing. But if one day you catch yourself thinking, wait, this actually makes sense, don't blame me.